Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday and Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Note the change in my schedule. For most of this year I have been streaming on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. New schedule, Monday and Wednesday only. This was not my decision, this was Bookmap's decision. Bookmap would like to see more participants in the stream on Discord. So last year I was streaming 5 days a week. Earlier this year, 3 days a week. Now 2 days a week. You can do the math. You can see the trend. If you value this stream, it is free, whether you're on YouTube or Discord, free to everyone. If you find this useful, find this valuable, please join me on Discord. That's the only way that this will continue, if you join me on Discord. So for those of you who are on YouTube, please join me on Discord, and that would be a great help to me to continue this webinar. All right, before I get started, I need to go through the disclosure. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. So that is another advantage of joining Discord. You would have access to my chat as well as many others on a variety of topics and a variety of languages. I'm also on X. My name there is @DougPless. All right, I have several announcements. First of all, again, Bookmap is encouraging everyone to join Discord and to fully participate in chat and watch the streams in Discord. You will need a Bookmap subscription. There is a free subscription available. You also need to verify your account, so there's a little bit of work involved, but once you do, you can fully participate in chat and watch all the streams that Bookmap makes available in Bookmap Discord. Note also this week the Institutional Trader Series going on. This is the current schedule. So tomorrow 10 a.m. Scott Bossini, and then Friday at 10 a.m. Al Vinjamar to wrap up the Institutional Trading Series for this week. Also note there is a futures trading competition that starts October 29th, trading scary size. You get $1 million in sim money to trade. And you can find out more at competition.bookmap.com. And finally, here's some additional news. Beta programs, Blue Jacket competition, and also Bookmap Academy. And there is a Discord meeting every Thursday afternoon at the close for the Bookmap Academy members, and great benefits. So go to bookmap.com for more information. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price of many stocks and futures, certainly in the large cap tech stocks like the Magnificent Seven stocks, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index, And the NQ futures contract is a derivative of NDX. And just like the SP 500, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge the delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading. The first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis. And for setups, and when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset as well as the way you like to trade. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, everyone else, especially for those of you who have joined me on Discord. Thank you very much for joining me on Discord. I really appreciate it. Here's my agenda for today, Wednesday, October 23rd. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's get started with news items, economic data, and events. First of all, Tesla does report earnings after the market closes today, first of the Mag 7 stocks to report earnings for the third quarter. Also coming up tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. jobless claims, and at 9:45 S&P PMI data, usually not the market mover that the ISM data is. And then on Friday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, durable goods orders, and 10 a.m. Michigan consumer sentiment. And we'll take a closer look at Tesla later on in the webinar today, and a potential trade for Tesla, and some logic behind that trade. All right, let's move on. Move on to positional analysis now. I'm going to start with the SP 500. This is the ES futures and Bookmap. And for those of you who watch my webinar regularly, you may notice a difference here. I'm using a new version of price lines. So now I'm showing the labels for these lines over here directly on the line rather than in this Cloud Notes column. I'm testing this out for FinTech visuals. This is a new version again that I'm testing out. What this does is avoid the Cloud Notes and Bookmap, which does require some startup time in the morning. You have to go manually and update this the server for each of these instruments. So that does take some time in the morning, and I'll see how this works out. So if anyone has any comments on that, I would welcome them. So again, I've left this column open now just in case I want to switch back, but right now I'm using this new version that places the labels on the side, but it uses the same CSV file as before. All right, so that's enough of that. This is the ES futures and Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I'm going to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to SPX, the underlying index. Pretty big down move today. So this is the 1 year's worth of data showing in this year, 2024, SPX making new highs above the previous high from 2022. Series of pullbacks on the way, typically getting smaller and smaller. We'll see how much longer that continues. All right, so that is the context in the bigger picture. Let's take a look now at a 1 hour chart. This is a 30-day 1 hour chart. And what this chart shows is expansion, consolidation, expansion, consolidation. And now SPX is broken down below the 5,800 level. Out of this previous consolidation range. Actually, it was more with a floor at 5,800. So SPX now has broken down below 5,800. Hello, Caesar. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. Let me zoom in just a bit. First of all, the expected moves, dashed purple lines showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. Those levels remain in place for the entire week. Now it looks like if SPX continues lower, it may test the lower weekly expected move. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. Also based on the options market, based on the closing price from yesterday. Note that I do post those levels in Discord every day the evening before. Another benefit of joining Discord. All right, the dark red lines on this chart are showing Spotgamma levels. These are based on gamma weighted open interest. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, the put wall did move up from yesterday to 58.25 and did not provide much resistance at all. SPX has sliced right through the put wall. So that's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And above that, just above that, is the volatility trigger, 58.45. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility and gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility, and that's exactly what is happening today. Note SPX gap down at the open below the volatility trigger, firmly in negative gamma, slightly positive gamma before the open, but gap down, open firmly in negative gamma, and continues. We'll take a look at the Vanna model in just a minute to get a visual impact of that. And now above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And again, SPX is trading pretty substantially below that level, firmly in negative gamma. And above that is the call wall at 5,900. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. That's also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest net absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma weighted open interest is concentrated. So for SPX, I mentioned before, the put wall moved higher. It was at 57.50 yesterday. If I have time, I'll look at the absolute gamma strikes. to see what sort of gamma is down below now. And then also the call wall moved higher, up to 5,900. So that today for SPX, put wall and absolute gamma strike shifted higher. Expect shifts lower tomorrow if this continues. And then also for SPY, the put wall moved lower. So that may be the level in play. We'll take a look at a SPY chart in just a minute. And let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1 minute chart. Then we'll get to Bookmap. All right, so key levels. Again, SPX, this is, let me zoom in on this just a little bit. SPX gap down below the volatility trigger and negative gamma, and did actually bounce around some up and down around the put wall, lower daily expected move. Then finally found resistance at that level. Looks like around 11 a.m. and now is making a series of lower highs and lower lows. And again, now has broken down below the 5,800 level. Let's take a quick look at SPY, and then we'll get to Bookmap. So SPY, actually, we'll take a quick look at SPY so we can just isolate those levels. So the SPY put wall is at 560. So again, S&P 500 has gone through the SPX put wall, but the SPY put wall at 560 is still well below. And note also that SPY is trading below its volatility trigger at 582 in firmly negative gamma. All right, back to Bookmap. So the levels in play. Earlier today, the 5820 level was support. That's a long time ago. So I was looking at that this morning. 5820 acted as support. And the right here is where SPX broke down through those cluster of levels. Then the lower level, the zero gamma level, acted as resistance, 5817 zero gamma level. All right, so again, I'm looking at the same SPX, SPY, and ES, key ES levels on this chart. I just have the labels in a different location in case there's any confusion about what I'm looking at. All right, so now ES is trading just above the SPY 576 level. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at NASDAQ now. This was a much easier read this morning, I thought. Clear resistance levels. So this is the NQ futures of Bookmap. Again, I have my own cloud notes. And note for these notes, price line notes. And note, I do post the index relationships that I'm using every day in Discord. Another advantage of joining Discord, I post the index relationships. So if you're using something like this, if you're showing these levels on your chart, I give you the index relationships. All right, let's take a quick look at the NASDAQ QQQ underlying index charts. Again, key, where is the index compared to the volatility trigger? So we've already seen that SPX and SPY are trading below their volatility triggers. Same as holds true for QQQ and NDX, firmly negative gamma. Note this combo level here. That's a combo 1 level combining QQQ and NDX, gamma weighted open interest into one level, shown there in terms of QQQ price, acted as resistance this morning, and we'll also see the index levels, the NDX levels that acted as resistance. And now QQQ continues to move lower. Zoom in just a little bit. All right, a little bit clearer view. Again, QQ key there, QQQ trading below its volatility trigger. And note for QQQ, the volatility trigger and absolute gamma strike did shift higher. So one thing about the volatility trigger shifting higher over time, that does support higher prices, but it also sets the bar higher for shifting from positive gamma to negative gamma. And that's what has happened now. Take a quick look at NDX. All right, so these levels were key this morning. Call wall at 20,300 and the volatility trigger just below it at 290. Those levels acting as resistance. I thought key for a short setup in the NASDAQ today. The multiple test of those levels, and especially this second test right around 1047. We'll take a look at Hero to get some additional clues for this short setup right around 1045 or so. All right, back to NASDAQ. Again, I'm using this new version of price lines. Let's zoom in just a little bit. Oops. I'm used to zooming like that in Thinkorswim, so sometimes I do that without grabbing the right tool. So I just want to show these levels more clearly. All right, so here are the key levels that were acting as resistance today. That is NDX, 20,030, absolute gamma strike, call wall. Just above that is the QQQ 494 level. And then there's the volatility trigger for NDX at 290. And then there's that combo 1 level for QQQ. Multiple entry points for shorts. And again, we'll take a closer look at setups in just a few minutes to see what options traders are doing and how they can guide us in this short setup. All right, let's wrap up positional analysis by taking a look at gamma. Oops. All right, so real quick, this is gamma notional at the beginning of the day. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, pretty benign, really, slightly positive for SPX and negative for SPY, just really neutral throughout the board. What Spotgamma looks at is this number right here, which is mildly positive. All right, let's take a look now at Trace. This is the gamma chart, and it's becoming a little bit more clear right now. Let's step back. So this is showing real-time gamma. Let's take a look at 10 o'clock. So this is showing mildly positive. Positive gamma right here. And Slow to Razi asks, can you see some open interest, SPX 6,000? Yeah, we'll take a look at that in just a minute. Let me get to the, let me get through this, then I'll try and take a look at that. All right, so this kind of confused me a little bit looking at this positive gamma And let's take a look at the stability index. This is moderately high. And what I would have expected is more. So let's go about when this big drop started, 10:45:11. I would have expected more negative gamma down below, that SPX could slice right through that, but that was not the case. And in fact, the stability index was 78%. So let's step through time. Again, I'm looking at gamma now. And this blue shading showing firmly positive gamma, but that really does not sync up with everything else that I've seen. So this is a new tool. I'm still getting used to it. Let's take a look at kind of old, tried and true, the Vanna model. So what this chart is showing is market maker's delta notional on the vertical axis, price for SPX on the horizontal axis. There are two lines on this chart, two curves. First, the white curve shows how market maker's delta notional may change with changes in price only. The purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. So that shows how market maker's delta notional may change with changes in price and implied volatility. So you can see as price drops, market maker's delta notional will increase due to the drop in price as well as the increase in implied volatility. And that means they will have to sell futures more aggressively when you account for that implied volatility. So the purple curve is the one we want to take a look at. And the high of the day for SPX, and let's see, it was right around here, 58.35, right around here. Let's see where SPX is trading now, 57.78. So right around here. So as prices dropped, implied volatility increases, market makers' delta notional increases. They have to trade in the direction of price. Their delta notional is increasing. They want to remain delta neutral. They have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. And that is helps to explain this move lower. Market makers are trading with price now. And again, we know both all the index products for S&P 500 and NDX are below their volatility triggers and negative gamma. And again, market makers trading with price. That again is enhancing or increasing volatility. All right, that is so my thesis for the day. And I forgot to mention for NDX, volatility trigger put wall shifted higher, and for QQQ, the volatility trigger absolute gamma strike shifted higher. That was based on information from yesterday, based on open interest that was updated overnight. Things shifted this morning. And let's take a quick look back at Thinkorswim here. Look at the 10-year. And now this is, you can see why things have shifted. Interest rates have been rising since about mid-September. And that is a big concern to the market. All right, so again, with that concern about interest rates, upcoming election, FOMC meeting day after the election, and then before that, upcoming jobs data. So all that combined, rising interest rates, and traders are looking to take profits and get out, I guess. All right, so let's move on now. and take a look at some setups for today. So I'm going to start with the S&P 500. And Hector had asked a question about Hero earlier today. Hector, if I don't answer your question, please let me know. So I'm going to go through this. And again, if I don't answer your question, let me know. Oh, and Sodarazi wanted to look at open interest around SPX 6000. Let's go back. Let's just take a look at the absolute gamma strikes. And this is typically what I look at. So there's 6,000. So this is gamma. This is gamma weighted open interest. So it looks like a substantial amount of gamma weighted open interest at 6,000. Orange showing positive gamma calls and blue showing negative gamma or puts. Let's just zoom in while we're here. Take a look. Let's take a look at the put wall at 58.25. So there's 5,800, 58.25. So you can see that's just the put wall by the mathematical definition of the put wall. It is the strike with the largest net negative gamma, but really not much put gamma there to act as resistance. So the most put gamma of all these strikes is at 5,800. And then if price moves down below 5,800, that may be when you want to start to be concerned. All right, the next stopping level down below that would be 5,750 and then 5,700. So there should be some resistance, support at 5,800. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to execution now. I'll go back to setups. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. And I'm going to take a look at what options traders are doing. So I'm going to real-time data execution. I'm going to start again with the S&P 500. This is the hero signal in Bookmap. This shows what options traders have been doing today. And this is the index signal for the S&P 500. This is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all these index components, SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. There are two lines on this chart. The white line is price for SPX. The purple line is the hero signal. And you can see it's pretty choppy today. There's a lot going on typically with this index signal. A lot of arbitrage, a lot of different players involved. So again, white line is price, purple is the hero signal, showing options trades, market maker hedging activity for those index components. A rising hero signal indicates traders are taking positive delta positions, and a falling hero signal indicates traders taking negative delta positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. All right, there's another index signal that we can take a look at, and that is the SB equities. So what this chart is showing, and it is much more clear today, it is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 index. So Hector, one thing you have to do with Hero is watch both of these, and it's pretty clear sometime as time has moved on that this is a much more meaningful signal today rather than trying to interpret the ups and downs of the index signal. Sometimes it's the other way. But this is what I'm going to look at today. We'll go back and take a look at the index signal, but I'm going to go to the equities here. I'm going to go to full screen, zoom in a bit, so you can see the very close correlation with price. And there are a couple things to take note of. First of all, several things. First of all, from the open, traders are taking negative delta positions. And note how this starts to decrease sharply right around 10 a.m. So makes a valley here just after 10, another valley, price moves higher, then a peak, and that's when this big move lower began, just after 10:45, 10:47, 10:48. And now zooming out, you can see that traders have continued to take negative delta options positions. I'm going to have to jump back. So now I've separated out puts and calls. So you can see the peaks a little bit more clearly in the valley as well. So there's the valley that I mentioned, then the peak, and that's when price really started to move lower, right around 10:45. All right, so let's go back to Bookmap now. Take a look at, go back to the SP 500. Let's zoom in. Give me just a moment while I adjust the chart here. All right, here's that that valley I mentioned, where the hero signal reversed higher. And the SP 500 found support at the 58.20 level. And note the high liquidity just below that. And JW was asking about that earlier. JW. So what I do, I control the heat map a lot with this slider right up here, and typically I have that turned down because of this algo activity, and also have this trader map light where I can see that liquidity a little bit more clearly without it filters out the algo, so you can see the liquidity right there below between the SPY 580 absolute gamma strike and the 58.20 level, wrong tool, 58.20 level, just above that. So let's take a look at Bookmap now. You can see the aggressive buyers starting to come in. The volume dots in Bookmap show market buy minus sell. You can see the sellers are exhausted. Magenta dots show more sellers than buyers. Sellers are exhausted. Aggressive buyers start to come in, shown by the green volume dots, and just the opposite here. Then the buyers become exhausted. Aggressive sellers come in right around VWAP. Price reverses lower as traders started taking negative delta options positions. And hey, Steven says, hey Doug, you should really use Trader Map Lite. Filters out that algo quite nicely. Yeah, it does, and I do use Trader Map Lite, but I use this as my main chart. Maybe I'll switch. But my understanding is there's several problems with Trader Map Lite. Maybe I'm wrong, but it does not support the stops and icebergs subchart indicator. At least that's based on what I've seen. So instead of doing that, so I can, I can go look at Trader Map Lite anytime I want. Let's go to that. And then JW, I'll get back to your question. Trader Map Lite. So you can see that liquidity that I was just talking about right here. So he has found support at that level. And then after that, 1045 break, broke through that level. But again, my understanding is Map Lite, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, does not support the stops and iceberg subchart, which I do use. All right, so the S&P 500 continues to move lower. And again, there's that break at 1045. Though there were some large traders coming in with iceberg orders, buying, and they could not move price higher. As price started to move lower, they were buying, but the options traders, I think, were just too strong, as well as the negative gamma notional. All right, so after that point, you can see cumulative volume delta shown by the magenta line there starting to fall, as well as sell stop orders helping to fuel that move lower. That's shown by the yellow line, also the on-chart indicator. That's 1,929 sell stop orders helping to fuel that move lower. All right, let's go back, take a look at what options traders that were doing again. So again, this is the hero signal that provided more clarity today, the S&P equity signal. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. And again, there are two signals that we can take a look at for NASDAQ. This is the index signal. And a little bit more clear as well. Traders have been selling calls in NDX and QQQ all day, shown by the falling orange line. Also, they were buying puts, selling puts. Then that put line shifted lower. And just after that, that's when the NASDAQ started to move lower. And let's take a look at the Mag 7 signal. So this is equivalent to the S&P equity signal, which is actually the Mag 7 plus 493. So again, a little bit more in sync with price today. There's that valley, and then the second test of that NDX 300 call wall and the 290 volatility trigger just below it. And that is shown on the NASDAQ chart, that those levels there. 300 call wall, 290 hedge wall, which is the volatility trigger. Second test, right around 1045, 1047. Price moves lower. As traders sold calls and bought puts, market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. Let's go back to the Mag 7 signal. Looks like now traders have, the call sellers have taken the foot off the gas, continue to buy puts. We'll keep an eye on that. So let's go back now to Bookmap, go to NASDAQ. All right, so again, I thought this was an easier read because of the these levels here. Levels that I expected to act as resistance did their job, did act as resistance. Let me clean this up. And the final test here was this final touch. Whoops, sorry, over here, wrong. Trend break, final touch of the 300 level. Aggressive sellers starting to come in. Price breaks below the volatility trigger. Always important to pay attention to how price reacts at the volatility trigger, and price moves lower. All right, so now it looks like NASDAQ is approaching the 485 put wall. It looks like I have the wrong color in there. I'll have to update my my spreadsheet. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. First is Apple. Trend break just before 11 a.m. That's right at the when the indexes started to move lower. Trend break. Test the VWAP, price moves lower. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go back to Hero, take a look at Apple. And from the open, traders were buying puts, shown by the falling blue line. There's a call peak right around 10 a.m. And traders continue to sell calls and buy puts. Again, market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. 230 is the key gamma strike. Looks like Apple is trading below that now. Let's go back to Bookmap. There's the 230 key gamma strike. Note all the liquidity at that level. That was a primary target. Limit buy orders in the order book. Those orders tend to attract price. Price moved through it. Then it acted as resistance. That's Apple. Next stock, Meta. Let's see what options traders are doing in Meta. It looks like I need to adjust my spreadsheet for Meta to add more lines down below. Let's go to Meta. $572.50 hedge wall, $570 put wall, and Meta sliced right through those levels. And this move lower really began just after 10:45 when the indexes started to move lower. Call peak, full alert comes in just a couple of minutes later as traders sold calls, bought puts. Price moves lower. Market makers again take the opposites of those trades, and they hedge their delta exposure by selling stock. Very clear signals here, especially that call peak and then flow alert, and the call sellers primary drivers of the price move lower. Back to Bookmap. There's that reversal lower. Just before 11 a.m. as traders, that call peak and traders started selling calls again. 570 put wall and price. There was some consolidation around that level. but now Meta trading well below that level. Next, Microsoft. I think Microsoft was up a little bit pre-market. And Microsoft also broke down just right around 10:45, 11 a.m. You can see all the aggressive sellers come in. So before cumulative volume delta was, before 11 a.m., cumulative volume delta was pretty much flat there, then started to drop just before 11 a.m. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to Microsoft. So it looks like call buyers and call sellers definitely driving price for Microsoft. Call sellers, call buyers. Flow alert comes in, signaling a significant options activity as well as a potential shift in hedging flow from this case positive delta to negative delta. That's exactly what happens. 10:43 maybe they start selling calls and price moves lower. Take a look at NVIDIA. So calls and puts driving NVIDIA today. Let's take a look at this. Move lower right around 10:45. Call peak. Traders stop buying calls, start selling calls, start buying puts. Price moves lower. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Caesar says, loves call peaks. Me too. Great, just a very great short signal, bearish signal. These call peaks have been working for, I don't know, a couple of months at least. So at least as long as Spotgamma has identified that. They called it the Matterhorn pattern initially, but call peak, definitely what it is. Great, great confirmation of a short setup. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap. So NVIDIA, I don't know why the numbers are still showing up in the right column. So there's that call peak that came in 10:45, 11 a.m. Price begins to move lower. Not a sharp move lower, nothing like Meta. Liquidity targets down below at 140. I think that was the call wall 3 days ago at 140. Now it's moved up to 150. Liquidity levels, limit buy orders that come into the order book at the cash open, very typical for stocks. We'll take a look at Tesla. And then JW, I need to get back and answer your question about settings. So Tesla reports earnings after the market closes. Bearish day. Let's see what traders are doing today in Tesla. And for those of you who are Spotgamma subscribers, I don't think I'm going to have time to go over it, but Spotgamma did describe the logic for putting a certain type of trade, an iron condor or a strangle at certain levels based on the put call impact chart and where the gamma starts to slow down on the downside and the upside. So traders today, just like all the other Mag 7 stocks, are selling calls and buying puts. In Tesla moving lower, broke its 217.50 hedge wall. All right, let me get back to Bookmap. Let's go back to ES. So JW had asked about some settings. So first of all, let's go to the settings for settings for the heat map, and you might want to take a screenshot of this. This is where I have my lower and upper cutoff, and this was really set before this algo came in, this cloud of dust up and down around price. And I just do this visually so I can get the clearest picture of liquidity. And of course the Trader Map Lite, Trader Map Pro helps with this, as Stephen pointed out. And you can also go to these advanced settings. And this is where I have my advanced settings. Again, I just did this visually to provide the most clarity. But again, I did this before this algo came in. I don't know, a month or two ago. It's been a while. All right, so those are my heat map settings, and I primarily control that what I see on the screen with the slider up here. And you can see most of the heat map shown as this cloud of dust again around price. And for me, it kind of obscures price action. All right, volume dot settings. And for volume dots, I like a couple of key things. I like to tone the transparency way down so the volume dots are solid, almost solid. So I don't think that's the default. So and I'm using 3D bubbles, volume delta. So it's either a magenta dot or a green volume dot. I have changed the colors as well. And this is the clustering that I use, and I just did that visually as well. So JW, I hope that helps. All right, let me check the questions. Hector asked, today was an abnormal day due to break a put wall all day trying to get the reversal. Understand 89% of daily trading sessions holds and 93% closes above. That is true. Those are the stats that Spotgamma has published. And I showed you the problem with that current put wall. Let's go back and take a look. Go to the, let's see, where is that? Go to the absolute gamma strikes. So there's that problem with that 58.25 put wall. It fits the definition of the put wall. It's basically the blue bar minus the orange bar that gives the greatest net negative gamma, but there's not much gamma at that level. That's a very weak put wall. And I would move down to the 5800 level. I'll consider that more solid support. All right, so Hector, hope that helps. Let's see if we see anything on delta pressure here. On trace. All right, so what this is showing, SPX is broken below the Spotgamma implied one-day move low. Still in somewhat of a neutral zone between the blue buying support below and the negative, the red selling pressure above. But it looks like the 5800 level may be holding. Let's go take a look. Go back to Bookmap. So the 5800 level is right on top of the, oh, that is the, let's see, we've got a couple labels on top of each other. All right, so that is the ES 5800 level. Let's just go check our SPX level, SPX chart. So again, SPX did break below that 5800 level. So then we would look to the next level below at 5750. So this is much more interesting to me than the 5825 level. The 5800 level just below, and SPX did break below that level. All right, let me check for questions. So you're welcome, Hector. So yeah, it was good to point that out, but again, the SPX did break down below the 5800 level, which again, based on the absolute gamma, looked like more substantial support. Next level down below would be the 5750 level. And if you go to SPY, remember that put wall is way down at 560. And that did move down from 580 yesterday. I'm going to zoom in on this just a bit here. All right, so this dashed purple line is that's the lower weekly expected move. And that's just below the SPY 575 level. And it looks like some aggressive buyers are started to come in. Also, iceberg orders, maybe large traders with iceberg orders have started buying now. So large traders buying with iceberg orders finally hitting the right level there. Aggressive buyers starting to come in. You can see the green volume dots, rising cumulative volume delta. Sharp move higher in this market pulse price change indicator. Let's see what options traders are doing now. Go back to Hero and go back to equities. So it looks like the call sellers have taken the foot off the gas. So right now they are buying calls and selling puts. Price is moving higher. We'll just take the index signal. So the index signal, definitely more noisy today, but providing a little bit more clarity. In the index, traders start buying calls, selling puts. Now price is reversing higher. All right, let me check for questions. WRB says Brad/Spotgamma, and not quite sure what that means. JW, you're welcome. BMX 786 says reversal time. Hector, you're welcome. And sorry, Babushko, Koboy, sorry, sorry about mispronouncing your name. Asked, did somebody had the screenshot of heat map? Not sure what you mean by that. And he also asked, do you use Delta Footprint? No, I don't. Bookmap does provide a footprint add-on. I don't use it. All right, Caesar says that 5,800 hole with large liquidity and hero is really nice. So let's go back. Let me zoom just a little bit. And then let's go to Trader Map Lite. All right, so we can see the liquidity there on Trader Map Lite a little bit more clearly. Zoom in on this. All right, so this is right at ES 5800. You can see all the liquidity, limit buy orders in the order book. And aggressive buyers are front running that liquidity at 5800. Continue to ask, is Hero all options traders? Yes. So what Hero is showing is market maker hedging activity in response to options traders. And Caesar, thank you very much for pointing that out, all that liquidity at ES 5800 acting as support. All right, everyone, my time is up. I've gone beyond. I hope I answered your question. If not, please post in Discord. Again, I'll do my best to answer your questions. Thank you, everyone, especially for those of you who are watching in Discord. Thank you very much for supporting me, supporting this webinar, watching in Discord. Again, thank you very much. For those of you who are on YouTube, I'll repeat again. My schedule has gone from 5 webinars a week to 3 to now 2. Bookmap is looking for more participants in Discord for me to continue this webinar. So for those of you who are in YouTube, please join me at Discord. It's still free. You do have to take a little effort on your part, but if you have find any value in this webinar, if you want to see me continue, please please join me in Bookmap's Discord. Bookmap has posted the link there in chat and YouTube. Please join me on YouTube. All right, everyone, have a great afternoon. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks again for all your support. Bye.